Hello everybody, Elias5891 here with another KTANE module tutorial. This time we're hitting Cruel Mastermind. This is a tricky one. Lots of people don't like this one. There's lots of different ways you can do this one. There's lots of complicated things that can happen. So I'm going to give you the edge work. I'm going to show you one step of how most people do it, and then I'm going to tell you to forget that, and I'm going to show you the way I do it. We do need all of the edge work, so we're going to grab that first. That would be 5 and KM4, VI4, 5 batteries and 3 holders, unlit FRK, RCA, and PS2. Alright. Cruel Mastermind works like Mastermind in general concept. You're still trying to find the correct sequence of 5 colors out of 6 possible colors. You do that by querying and submitting when you have the correct solution. The problem is, unlike the simple version of this, where it tells you, hey, you got this many right and this many wrong, it's giving you some sort of calculation instead. And you'll see different queries are giving me different numbers because they're different colors. So what do these mean? Well, let's look at one and show you how you're supposed to do it, or how kind of instinctively one might do it. Let's say I queried white, 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 and I tell my expert that. I also need to tell him I have yellow 5, green 5. Well, on this chart, for our left number and our right number, we have different tables. We have yellow is our left color, and green is our right color. So that's these two sections here. What this table gives us is a summation of two numbers. These numbers will always be a letter, which I'll explain in a second, and some condition of the bomb. So for example, this one, for our left number, which is 5, that is equal to B plus the number of modules on the bomb. How many modules we have on this bomb? 5. And that's going to yield us B is equal to 0. I'll come back to what B is in just a second. Let's get the other side. For the right number, which was a 5, we get C, which is this number here, plus the number of unlit indicators, that's 1, which gives us C equals 4. Now what does this mean? Well, in simple Mastermind, you had two numbers, the number in the right spot, the number in the wrong spot. On this one, you have A, which is the same thing as that first number, the number in the right spot, B, the number in the wrong spot, and C, which is kind of the leftovers. So A and B and C is always going to total up to 5. So if you get stuck with a C, you can kind of calculate the other one. So if B is 0 and C is 4, then A is 1, which tells us that in normal Mastermind, we would have gotten 1, 0 for white, 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 white. There's one white in our solution. That's fine and dandy, but think about how much work I took to get that. Think about how long that took. And think about how many queries we're going to have to do to solve this properly. It's quite a few. I'm not a big fond of doing this one this way. I have my own method of doing it, which is a little weird, perhaps, a little tricky. But when I show you it, you might be able to see how it works. Now, if you like this method, if you feel like going through this and you're like, okay, well, I've got one yellow, white, let's change this to a magenta, let's see what my A and B is, and you can do it like the original Mastermind, the simple Mastermind. If, say, now you get 0, 1, then you know that first one was a white and there's no magenta. If you go 1, 1, you know there's magenta in a different spot. If you go 2, 0, you're like, oh, there's magenta and I got it in the right spot. And you can do it that way. I don't like doing that, though, because I don't like having to deal with all those calculations. There's just a few too many, and it's a little error prone. Instead, I like to look at one specific thing that's useful. In my mind, the most useful number is A, the number of things in the right position. If it just spat that one number out at you, you could do this without too much trouble. So let's focus on getting that number. And let's even make things simpler. Let's only do the left number. Let's ignore one number completely, save ourselves some issue. We're going to look at left number only, and we want A. Well, where do we get that? We get that, come on, please highlight, there we go. We get that when white or blue is on the left. So if we have a white or blue on the left, then our first number is going to be A plus something, and A is the number we really want. So what I personally like to do, as far as giving information to my expert, is to give them a query, since I can query this as many times as I want. Query it so I have a white or blue on the left. So I'll query this till I get a white or blue on the left. There we go. Now, if I want to give this to them, I can even make this a little easier for them. I'm going to give them two pieces of information. I'm going to tell them blue 5. They already know, my experts, because this is the way I do it, they know that I'm going to give them something where they have to do A plus something. And that something else is going to be the right color. They know I've got the left color covered. That's an A. So they're going to get a right color. So I've got to tell them what that right color is. And then I've also got to tell them what the sum is so they can actually do some work with it. So I'm going to give them blue 5. And they know that A plus whatever blue on the right gives you is equal to 5. In this case, what is blue on the right? First number of the serial, that's a 4. That gives me A is 1. Now notice, this is what we deduced last time, that A is 1. We've got one spot in the right, one white somewhere in it, one white in the right position. But we did that with a lot less effort doing it this way. As a result, I like to give all of my clues like this. All of my clues, I start with a white or a blue, and I read the right color, because that's where my other number is going to come from, and the number on the left. We're ignoring the right number, because I don't want to have to try to remember, oh, it's green and magenta A on the right, or white or blue A on the left. No, I just like to go white, blue on the left. That gives me what I want on the left. So I ignore the right number. The white or blue on the left is what's giving me the A, so it's the other color that tells me the other number. So, what did I learn from this? I learned there's a white. Well, how does that help me? What I like to do is I like to do this, and this takes a few seconds, 6 times. I do it once with all white, once with all magenta, and I keep going until I get a white or a blue. Here we go. This clue would be, this is yellow 8. Remember, it's the color on the right and the number on the left. Yellow 8. So A, plus whatever yellow is equals 8. What is yellow on the right? It's the sum of all numbers in the serial number. It's 4 plus 4 is 8. A is 0, so I don't have any magenta. No magenta. And I'm going to do this 6 times. One with each color, and that should give me the 5 colors I need. Technically, I really only need to do it 5, but I like to do one more just as a safety. So let's do the yellows. Okay, red 4. Red is number of unique ports, which is 2, plus A is 4, so A is 2, so I have 2 yellows. Alright. Green, there we go. Magenta 0. Well, I can tell you right now I don't have any of those. That's what a 0. A 0 is good for that if it happens to pop up. 0 plus A equal, or 0, So, A plus, what is magenta on the right? The number of lit indicators is 0. Is 0. A is 0. I don't have any greens. Let's switch to red. There we go. Red 2. Red. Now here's the thing. We've already talked about red. We know red is, number of unique ports is 2. So notice that that came up again. We're going to use that information here in a minute. A is 0, so I don't have any reds, which means blue's my last color. I should have 2 of those. Magenta 2. And we've hit magenta as well. Magenta is number of lit indicators, which is 0 plus 0 equals 2. So I have 2 of whatever color this is. That's 2 blue. So by doing those 6 queries, I know white, yellow, yellow, blue, blue, in some order is my answer. Now, I'm going to pause from actually solving this one to take note of the fact I got magenta and red as my right color twice. At that point, my expert's kind of like, oh, well, magenta is adding 0. Red is adding 2. So, as kind of an extra condition to this, when I have an expert and I have this module, I like to tell them, okay, I got Cruel Mastermind coming up. I like them to go ahead and calculate all of the right side numbers. That way, instead of waiting for them to look them up each time, we can go ahead and have that. So, let's look all these up. White is the number of batteries. That's 5. Magenta is the number of lit indicators. That's 0. Yellow is the sum of all digits in the serial number. That's 8. Green is the number of modules on the bomb. That's 5. Red is the number of unique ports. That's 2. And blue is the first digit of the serial number. That's 4. So now, instead of even having to look it up each time, like I can be like, alright, this was magenta 2, magenta 0, so 2 is my A. I have 2 of this in the right spot. That's going to save us some more time. So we're going to use that to finish this one up. We've deduced the colors, and I will show you exactly how I do this with an expert, because I wanted to get the process down first. So we know it's white, yellow, yellow, blue, blue. So what I'm going to do next, for the last step, is I'm going to turn these all to a color I don't want, magenta. I know if I query this, I have none in the right spot, because there's no magenta anywhere in it. And if I look this up, white 5, well that's 5 plus 0 to give me 5. And then I'm going to take one color at a time, and I'm going to figure out where it goes. Does the white belong here? Let's query it. Red 2. Red 2. Red's already a 2, so I didn't add anything. So this white is not in the right spot. How about if I put it here? Blue 5. Blue is a 4, but I've got a 5, so I have 1 in the right spot. That means that my white is locked in. I know where my white goes. It's in spot 2. Now let's go for those yellows. I got 2 of them total. Let's see if one's here. Magenta 2. Magenta is 0. So that means I've got 2 in the right spot. I need 2 more to get that A. So blue in the first position is correct. Okay, let's look for the next yellow. White 7. Well, white's 5, so I've got 2 in the right spot. I've already got 2. That's the blue and the white here. So that's not where the yellow goes. How about here? Blue 7. Blue's 4. To get to 7, that means I got 3 in the right spot. So the yellow does go there. I don't know why I put blue here. That's yellow. I apologize. I put a blue there. I meant to put a Y because I knew that that was yellow. I've currently got 3 in the right spot. Blue is yielding me a 4. I actually have a 7, so 3 are in the right spot. And my other 2 colors have to be blue. I'm going to double check that even though I don't have to. Blue 9. Blue is 4 plus 5 gives me 9. That means 5 are in the right spot, which means I'm done with this module. Whew! That's a load off. Now, here's the way that this actually runs when I'm doing it with someone. Because that was a little back and forth. That was me looking at something. Obviously, that's not the way you're doing it in a bomb. So, I will just spit out the information I need to my expert. And all I expect back is a single number. I want to know how many is in the right spot each time. So, let's say I've given them, hey, I've got a Cruel Mastermind, go ahead and prep the numbers. They've prepped. Here's how this is going to look when I do it. As the diffuser, I search for a white or a blue. White, 6. And they're like, 5, I need one more. One of those. So I know, okay, 1 white. I might even tell them to write down 1 white. Depends on how familiar I am with them. So I know I've got a white. We keep looking. Magenta 0. None. Alright, next color. Yellow 10. Yellow's an 8, so I need 2 more. 2 of that color. They're like, okay. So I know I have 2 yellows. I might tell them, hey, I got 2 yellows. Let's keep going. Green. Yellow 9. Yellow's an 8. To get to 9, we need 1 more. We've got 1 green. Oh, I had one and I missed it. That's okay. Blue 4. Blue is 4. None of those. Oops, go back. Yellow 9. Yellow's actually an 8. I got one of those. So I have my colors. My colors are white, yellow, yellow, green, blue. I'm going to switch them all to an off color. That's magenta. Let's look for the white. Yellow 9. That's correct. Okay, white is locked in. We need a yellow. White 7. That's +2. That's in the right spot. Let's keep going. White 7. That's in the wrong spot. So the other yellow does not go here. Does it go here? Blue 7. 4 + 3. That is where the yellow goes. That's good. Let's check the green. Blue 8. 4 + 4. That is where green goes, which means blue must go here. Let's just confirm. Red 7. 2 + 5 gives me 7. We're done. Let's do one more. I'm not going to write anything down. I'm going to do it just on the back and forth, and I'll remember the colors. So we start with all white. Red 2. None of them. Green 5. None of them. Magenta 2. 2 of those. So I've got 2 yellows, okay? Yellow, yellow. Yellow 9. One of those. Yellow, yellow, green. Yellow, yellow, green. Magenta 9. I'm sorry, magenta 0. Sometimes it's easy to mess up. Watch, be careful. Always read this number, this color. Magenta 0 is none of those, so magenta 2, 2 of those. So I've got 2 yellows, 1 green, and 2 blues. Is that right? I think that's what I had. Yeah, 2 yellows, 1 green, 2 blues. That's why I sometimes give it to my person. So I did write that down. Maybe I'd want to write that down. Let's find yellow. Blue 4. No. 0. Green 5. No. That must be blue. Green 6. 1. So that's locked in. Next up, well, let's try to find. Let's check yellow here. So long as we are. We want to find where the yellow goes. We happen to find where the blue goes in the process, which is nice. So we know we've got 1 locked in. Magenta 2. Correct, that's 2. Alright, we keep the yellow there. That's locked in. Let's test for the next yellow. Blue 6. 2. Already had the 2, that's not right. Magenta 3. Magenta 0, add 3 is 3, so this is correct. This is where we want the green. We still need to find that yellow. And notice you can try to find each color in order. Sometimes you want to just figure out where each color is. I kind of change up, to be honest, which way I do it. White 8. White is 5, so that's incorrect, which means at this point, by process of elimination, I can tell that this is the answer. Don't even have to check it. We're done. So let's back out. Let's do one more from scratch. And we'll see how this goes. And we'll convey to the expert which colors we're looking for as we go. We'll make sure that they feel important and helpful and contributing. Cereal is 5 hotel, 5 India, kilo 8. I don't have a lot. 2 batteries and 1 holder. I have an unlit S&D, and I have a parallel port. Alright, prep the colors. So we're going to prep them. White is the number of batteries. That's 2. Magenta is the number of unlit indicators. That's 0. Yellow is the sum of all digits in the serial number. 5 and 5 and 8 is 18. That's going to give us some big numbers. Green is the number of modules on the bomb. That's 5. Red is the number of unique ports. That's 1. Blue is the first number in the serial. That's a 5. Let's start looking for colors. Uh, white 2. White 2, 0. None of those. Red 2. One of those. Alright, we got a magenta in it. Green 6. We've got one of those. So we got a yellow. Yellow 19. 18 plus 1 gives me 19. One of those. One green. Blue 6. One of those is a red. Process of elimination. The last one must be blue, but let's double check. I do like to double check on this stage. Make sure I didn't read something wrong. Magenta 1. 0, so 1. So I've got one of those. So what colors do I have? Magenta, yellow, green, red, blue. So everything but white. This will be fun. Well, let's start looking. Set them all to white, because I have no white. Let's try magenta first. Yellow 18. No, 0. Blue 5. 0. Blue 5. 0. Green 6. 1. So that one is in the correct spot. Next location. Let's try the magenta. White 4. 2 in the correct position. So that's good. We've got the red, we got the magenta, we need a yellow. Red 3. 1 plus 2. So 2. We don't have a new one. We try green. Blue 8. That's 3 in the correct spot. That one's good. We still got to get the yellow, so let's try yellow here. Magenta 4. Magenta 0. 0 plus 4 gives me 4. That one's correct, and we had a blue to get. And there we go. I find that way a lot easier. I find the expert finds that a lot simpler. I find that a lot simpler because I don't have to give as much information, and I'm less prone to screw it up. Having said, you can give whatever clues you want. You know, maybe you give this full clue, white 4, magenta 8, and then they go, well, I've got white and magenta, so lid indicators plus A is 4, last digit serial plus B is 8. I don't like doing it that way. You can. I'm not saying you can't, but I find it easier just to focus on the A's. So that's going to wrap this one up. This one is a hard one. I may kind of do a part 2 to this to clarify some things if there are questions. So if you do have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions in the section down below, let me know. And in the meanwhile, guys, until next time, have fun, don't explode. Bye, guys.